morning. Thank you for joining the Computer Center. Today we have with us Keith Pearce from Bay Design Jewelers.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Okay, so Keith, tell us a little bit about Bay Design.
We're a full-service jewelry store. We make, design, and repair jewelry, and we do all our work on site. We use everything from the ancient techniques all the way up through computer-aided design and milling and 3D growth as well.
What qualities do you look for in a perfect piece of jewelry?
That's simply the way a professional would build it. There are so many details other people overlook that we strive to make sure all the surfaces are finished. Everything's, if it's round, it needs to be perfectly round, and the polish, the finish are just exact. They're distortion free. They're just a total joy to look at. I mean, like I said, you want to look at that and go, wow, that looks nice. That's the overall goal.
What is your favorite material to work with?
Gold, yellow gold in particular. As far as gems go, I like colored gems more so than diamonds, but I work a lot with the diamonds too.
Tell us how you use technology in your business.
We decided to adopt technology. That was a tough decision. I thought, maybe it might be portraying the process a little bit, but it turns out the technology was more like an expensive set of pliers. Our customers, they liked the fact that we had these abilities, so we started off with the computer-aided design and milling, and with that, the CAD design, that can take a 15-hour project and turn it into a 5-hour project, which is huge. And from there, things just kind of took off. That obviously increased our abilities by at least threefold. And then when 3D printer technology finally caught up to the point where we could do castable resins and castable wax resins, that's when we really saw the payback, because the first day I had 19 models ready to go, and with the mill we have to build those one at a time, so we have to set up a production schedule and just run the clock and go change things over one at a time. With the 3D printer, we threw all 19 onto the build platform and within 4 hours had everything done. Later on, we sat down and figured out that the 3D printer itself actually saved us about 10 to 12 hours a week in labor. So that was absolutely huge, because there were certain aspects of milling where we'd have to go back and hand finish in order to get it done. But when you're growing it, you don't have to worry about what direction the bit can get at, so you can actually grow the hollow forms just as easily as the totally solid forms.
Do you currently have any frustrations with technology?
No, it's mostly me adapting to the program. You have to learn to think a certain way with each program. Once you finally get the hang of it, then everything runs smoothly, but it's getting there that's sometimes a bit of a hassle. Last year, just recently acquired a programmable kiln, which we needed to use for our burnout processes with the castable resin, and I would have to say it was a touch on the frustrating side with the way things had to run in order to program it, and the company that sold me the kiln also had a pretty severe lack of support. So we got it all worked out, but it took me a week to work it out. So that was about the only frustrating thing I got going. Generally, for our industry, when we have problems with something, all of our answers lie in the past. Because, there's only so many ways you can bend metal, cut metal, or cast it. A lot of the times we end up, like I said, looking to the past to find the solutions rather than looking ahead to the future and wishing we could.
What was the last bit of advice you gave a customer?
Just recently we had a lady in, she wanted to restyle a piece, and if we were going to try to dismantle it in order to do so, we would have ended up destroying most of the gems in the process just because of the way they were set. We advised her not to do it at all. We're pretty honest about that, because it doesn't help if we're going to ruin things trying to do something else, and the piece she had was quite beautiful to start with. The other thing is, sometimes ideas aren't exactly the greatest thing, and as we say at the shop, I just won't make ugly jewelry. I have had two pieces over the course of our career that I just flat out said, no, I won't do these. And, then explain to the customer why this won't work.
What's currently trending, either in what you sell or currently what you design?
We're still dealing a lot with the shared prong microdiamond setups and halos. Other than that, I would say that's really the current trend, and I'm happy to see they got away from a lot of the straight line geometric stuff, and they're now showing a lot of more flowing curved line items that I think are much more graceful.
How do you care for precious jewelry after it's been purchased?
It depends on the piece itself. Like most people, they love opals, but they don't understand that they're sensitive to thermal shock. And living here in Wisconsin, especially in January and February, we get a lot of sub-zero temperatures. So if you have a sub-zero day and you're wearing a ring, you walk from inside to outside, it is enough to shatter the gem. Just the thermal shock, or going from hot water to cold water while you're cleaning it. There's other gems that you can't have in the daylight, like kunzite. If you take it out in daylight, before evening, it'll go white. You can't get it back. It's called an evening gem for a reason. It's just learning what each one does. Most people assume gems are infinitely hard and they can take anything. No, they can't. Some of them need a little respect, like emeralds. Those require that you can't garden with them or you'll destroy them. Same with tanzanite, because they lack the hardness. But then you have jade, where it has both hardness and toughness, and the Chinese made bowls out of them. It was an ideal gem. No, we make sure everyone understands that when they buy something, if there's any care or feeding instructions for the new baby, so to speak, we make sure they know those as well. Most ladies don't understand when they own a strand of pearls for the first time that the alcohol in hairspray and perfume will eat the nacre on contact. That's why the old adage is pearls are the last thing you put on when you leave the room. That prevents that type of damage from happening. So it just depends on what it is you've bought, and we'll tell you how to take care of it.
What is your favorite technique used in designing jewelry?
Depends on what it is we're doing. Some designs lend themselves well to what we call fabrication, where we take raw metal and manipulate it to what we need. Other times, casting is the preferred method. It just depends on the situation. Sometimes I've done a lot of casting, and all of a sudden we have a fabrication project crop up, and now I'm off with the hammers and the anvil versus the computer and polishing. So,
do you have a favorite personal piece that you've worked on?
I did a piece for my wife for her anniversary. She saw a piece online at Christie's auction house that was owned by Marie Antoinette. It was a pearl and diamond pendant, and she just fell in love with it. Well, I took a look at it and I studied it, and I'm like, we can do this. I can make this. And after going through the site, looking at all the information, they had everything but what I needed for the information. So we broke it down forensically. I took one of the pictures they had on the auction site where a woman was holding the pendant, and I just applied average measurements to her hand and her fingernail, and we were able to reverse engineer the whole piece. And Allison can't be separated from that one right now.
How did you come up with the name Bay Design?
When I originally filed papers for my business, I was living in Williams Bay at the time. Friends of mine advised me not to use my own name, and I kind of like that. At that time, company seemed like a good title to put on. Later on, we realized that the name wasn't really fitting to the business, so we're doing business as Bay Design Custom Jewelers, and that's, once they see the name, they pretty much know exactly what we're doing. So that's kind of the evolution of where that went.
Tell us about the types of referrals you're looking for currently.
Actually, it's 3 types of referrals we're looking for. Do you know someone who has a broken piece of jewelry that needs it to be fixed? Does somebody have a bunch of gems or rings, whatever, sitting in a jewelry box doing nothing, and they want to do something new with them, get them restyled? That's something we do on a daily basis. You don't have to wait for the trunk shows or once a year for some other place to do that. And lastly, anybody who wants to get engaged. We'd like to see them, and we can build them the one-of-a-kind ring they're looking for, so it matches their lady's personality.
Well, thank you so much for visiting us today. Again, this was Keith Pearce of Bay Design. He's located at 1727 Newport Avenue in Janesville, Wisconsin. and his number is 608-757-2071. You can find him on Facebook at Bay Design Custom Jewelers, and his website is baydesignCustomJewelers.com. Thank you again.
Thank you.